Right now, like somewhere on Earth, a virus is doing something that no human weapon has ever matched. It is invisible. It has no brain, no lungs, no heartbeat, and yet, in the span of days, it can liquefy organs, collapse immune systems, and silence entire communities. You've heard their names: Ebola, Rabies, Marburg. But do you know what they actually do inside the human body? Stay with us, because by the end of this video, you will never look at a fever the same way again. Viruses are not alive, not in the way you and I are. They have no metabolism. They can't reproduce on their own. They are essentially a strand of genetic code wrapped in a protein shell, drifting through the world until they find a living cell to hijack. And that's what makes them so terrifying. They don't want to kill you. They don't want anything. They simply replicate, and your body is collateral damage. Today, we're counting down 10 of the most lethal viruses ever discovered. These aren't just statistics. These are biological weapons forged by evolution itself. Some are ancient, some are modern. All of them have left a trail of human suffering that changed history. But here's the question you need to be asking. Which one is the most dangerous? And more importantly, could you survive it? To understand what these viruses do, we need to go inside. Imagine shrinking down to the size of a single red blood cell. You're now floating through a blood vessel, a living river carrying oxygen, white blood cells, and nutrients across the body at over 5 kilometers per hour. Now imagine something smaller appears, 50 times smaller than that red blood cell. It looks almost elegant, a geometric shell of proteins, a perfect icosahedron. Inside, tightly coiled, is its true weapon, a strand of RNA or DNA, a biological instruction manual. Its only message: replicate me. It finds a human cell, maybe in your lungs, your liver, or your nervous system. It locks onto a receptor on the cell surface, the way a key finds a lock. Then silently it slips inside. The cell has no idea what just happened. Once inside, the virus releases its genetic material and hijacks the cell's own machinery. Your cells are incredible factories, constantly producing proteins, repairing DNA, sending chemical signals. The virus takes control of this factory and issues a new order: stop everything. Make copies of me. Within hours, one virus becomes 10, 10 become 1,000, 1,000 become 1,000,000. Each new copy bursts out of the dying cell, sometimes tearing it apart, and moves on to infect neighbors. This is when your immune system wakes up. Fever rises, inflammation begins. White blood cells rush to the site like emergency responders. For most viruses, this response wins. The infection is contained. You recover. But the 10 viruses we're about to explore, they have evolved strategies to outsmart this defense. Some hide inside the very immune cells meant to destroy them. Others mutate so fast that antibodies can't keep up. And some unleash such a violent immune response that your own body becomes the weapon of destruction. Which brings us to number 10. Number 10, Hantavirus. Carried by rodents, transmitted through dust. It enters the lungs silently. By the time symptoms appear, headache, fever, muscle aches, the lungs are already filling with fluid. Mortality rate, up to 38%. Number 9, Influenza. Don't underestimate it. The 1918 Spanish flu killed between 50 and 100 million people. It hijacked the immune system, triggering a cytokine storm, where the body essentially attacks itself. Number 8, Dengue fever, 4 strains. Get infected by 2 and your body's memory turns against you. Antibodies from the first infection help the second strain enter cells faster. A biological trap. Number 7, SARS-CoV-2. The world watched in real time as this virus silently spread from person to person before symptoms even appeared. It disrupted blood clotting, inflamed the heart, and overwhelmed intensive care units across the globe. Number 6, Smallpox. Eradicated in 1980, but its history reads like a horror story. It killed 300 million people in the 20th century alone. Those who survived carried permanent scars, inside and out. Number 5, HIV, the slow assassin. It doesn't kill directly. Instead, it dismantles your immune system one cell at a time, targeting CD4 T cells, the generals of your immune army. Without them, even a common cold becomes fatal. Number 4, Marburg virus, a close cousin of Ebola. Fatality rate? Up to 88%. It attacks the vascular system, the network of blood vessels running through every organ. As replication accelerates, those vessels begin to fail. Internal bleeding starts. Organs lose function. The body enters a state of systemic collapse. Number 3. Ebola. The name alone triggers fear. Ebola disrupts blood clotting proteins, causing uncontrolled hemorrhage. It infects macrophages, the very cells designed to fight it, and uses them as Trojan horses to reach the liver, spleen, and lymph nodes. The immune system goes into shock. The inflammatory response becomes catastrophic. Here's the mind-bending part. Ebola doesn't want this outcome. A virus that kills too fast loses its host before it can spread. Ebola is almost too efficient at destruction, an evolutionary overcorrection that burns itself out in isolated outbreaks. Number 2. Rabies. 100% fatal without treatment. Once symptoms appear, no cure exists. The virus travels along nerve fibers toward the brain, not through the bloodstream, which is why it evades the immune system for weeks. Once it reaches the brain, it induces aggression, confusion, hydrophobia, and hallucinations. The virus essentially rewires behavior to maximize its own transmission. Only a handful of people have ever survived symptomatic rabies. Their cases are studied like miracles. Number 1. The one that changed everything. If we measure danger not just by mortality rate, but by total lives taken, then there is one family of viruses that outranks them all. Influenza. Not because it kills the most per infection, but because it never stops. It mutates constantly. Every year, it returns wearing a new molecular disguise. Scientists must recreate the vaccine annually, essentially guessing which strain will dominate the coming season. But here's what truly stops scientists cold. The 1918 strain was reconstructed in 2005 from preserved tissue. When researchers studied it, they found it wasn't dramatically different from other flu strains. What made it catastrophic was a combination of immune naivety, poor sanitation, wartime crowding, and biology. The ingredients for another pandemic exist today. The H5N1 bird flu strain has a case fatality rate over 50%. It hasn't learned efficient human-to-human transmission. Yet. Every day, inside your body, wars are fought that you never feel. Viruses probe your cells. Your immune system patrols, identifies, and eliminates. In most moments, the defense wins. Silently, invisibly, without you ever knowing the battle happened. The 10 viruses in this video represent evolution at its most ruthless. Billions of years of biological pressure distilled into particles so small, you could fit 500 million of them on the period at the end of this sentence. They have no malice, no agenda, and yet they have reshaped civilizations, rewritten history, and forced humanity to understand itself at the molecular level. Every vaccine, every antiviral, every intensive care unit, they exist because of what these viruses taught us. In the end, the deadliest virus is not the one with the highest kill count. It is the one we are not prepared for. The question is not if a new virus will emerge. It's whether we'll be ready. Inside every breath you take, the invisible world is at work. And now, you know what's in it.